Hi everyone, my name is Steph, this is the Novelty Corner, and welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the weekly book steep. I feel woefully unprepared for this particular video, mostly because I have been reminded this week by one of my good friends that I am most likely in burnout mode at the moment, so my brain, my ability to read, my ability to think about what I'm reading, like I'm still reading because I need to for my sanity, but it's been a week, like it's first week back of term, and I am ready for a holiday, and I've got another 10 weeks until that happens. So we are going to do our best because I have commitment books that I need to talk about this week, which is a reason why I'm filming today and not skipping it, which is what I thought when I woke up this morning, but I do stick to my commitments. We will see what other videos come out this week. I have filmed my buzzword vlog, sort of, and that may go up on Wednesday. I won't have a video on Friday because we have the This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me live show on my Saturday or Friday night, if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, and that will count as my third video for the week. But yeah, I'm at the hockey today and tomorrow, and I just kind of want to be there and just let that, weirdly enough, help decompress me for the week ahead. That long-winded introduction just means that I haven't had time and really didn't have the energy to make tea or anything like that. I prioritized eating food and drinking a glass of water before I filmed. So that was good because normally I don't eat before I film. You're getting all of my secrets at the moment. This is my week from the 18th until the 24th of April. I read 7 books this week, a total of 1,979 pages. I had a total of 3 project books, and I had 1 DNF this week. And I will actually mention the DNF, but you will hear more about that DNF and my immediate reason about why I DNF'd it in my buzzword reading vlog. It is release week here in Australia for the publishers, so I do have my kids review titles. The first one is My Body Is My Home by Jasper Peach and Becky Orpin. This is a really gorgeous book all about celebrating the body that you live in, and no matter what your body is capable of doing, it is your home. It is the vessel that you have for your life, and it's important to understand what that body needs, how that body functions. And for young kids, it's all about knowing that your body changes as you grow up, and that's okay. It's going to be a little bit different all the time. And it goes kind of through some basic concepts of, you know, what your body is made up of, your insides, understanding that your body has feelings. Like, this is very, very applicable to me at the moment. And it's just so fun and vibrant and gorgeously illustrated. It was a really fun book to explore. I love things like this where it is essentially collage. I don't know if you can tell, you kind of have the little shadows of the collage cut out bits, which I love that kind of book. But a really great one if you have kids who are just learning and becoming aware of themselves and their body. Perfect for that. So this was sent to me by Allen and Unwin, so thank you very much to them. This is another Allen and Unwin book. I was going to go in age readership category, but I'll go publisher category. This is Tearing Myself Together by Anna Whateley. This is a young adult contemporary story about a teenage girl called Hilsey. She is in year 12. She is completing year 12, I believe, through TAFE, and she's just at exam time. She has Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and is a big part of this book. She lives with her older sister who basically takes care of her. Their mother has a gambling problem and works on a cruise ship and is very sporadically sending money back to them. And prior to this book, her best friend Imogen had mentioned to her own parents sort of about the conditions and the fact that Hilsey's mum wasn't really doing her part. And so there was a period of time where there was the potential for Hilsey to be taken away from her sister. And so Hilsey has not quite forgiven Imogen, despite the fact that they were as close as sisters before that. So their relationship is really strained. And at the start of the book, they're together with Hilsey's sister on a boat. It's something that they've enjoyed doing in the past. Tensions are really strained. And then they're heading off and they've got exams. Hilsey also is fired from her job because of her ED, it is difficult for her to work as fast or effectively. She works at a pizza place. And then something happens with her knee and she ends up back in the emergency department where she finds out, and I found this really, really interesting, that her knee has died. And so she has to have some keyhole surgery in order to fix it and to wake up her knee. So she also ends up in a leg brace for the majority of the book. Alongside this, there is a girl that she's interested in, Dawn, and is trying to figure out how to navigate that relationship. It would be her first relationship, along with trying to understand or figure out if she wants to repair her relationship with Imogen. And Imogen is also going through a lot. She is about to have surgery to remove a skin cancer growth on her lip. While the main narrative is told from Hilsey's perspective, it is interspersed with entries from Imogen's diary, which she eventually gives to Hilsey to talk about how she's feeling in this moment. And on top of this, both Hilsey and Imogen have ADHD. There is so much representation. It is such a interesting story of 2 girls in their teens trying to figure out how to navigate the challenges that life has thrown at them, and also how to navigate friendships and relationships, and it was just wonderful. So thank you again to the publisher for the review copy. And then a middle fiction title from Text Publishing, so thank you very much to them for sending this to me, is The Wild Unknown by Emily Gale. This is a futuristic middle fiction story. It's set in 2045. It is a world where artificial intelligence rules supreme, essentially, and it's not a dystopian future though, so we do want to be clear about that, but technology has been embraced, and pretty much everyone wears these little AI bots either all the time or throughout the day. And Eddie's family, they have them, they use them, but they've taught their children to take them out at nighttime and things like that, so they're not constantly connected. At the very start of this book, Eddie finds out that a boy that went to his school has gone missing. AI investigators have not been able to find him. The more that he thinks about it, and the more that he and his friends and his family are talking about it, his mum is a journalist, but part of her job is to uncover fake news and get the real story. Eddie decides to go investigating to see if he can try and find this boy, because he's confused by what's going on and he doesn't understand why no one's been able to find any clues as to where this boy has gone. And he ends up at the river where his parents have explicitly told him to stay away from that river because that's where the boy disappeared. But it's after this trip, and he ends up falling into the water at some point, that strange things begin happening to him. His body begins to change. He begins to grow feathers, and he keeps burping this really weird kind of noxious gas, and he doesn't quite know what's going on. Then he begins to find other people that he knows where similar things are happening, and it's up to his family and the family of a close friend of his to try and figure out what could potentially be happening. It was a really interesting story. It's a great one to open up a conversation around artificial intelligence, around the use of technology and how we manage that, how we teach effective use of it, and also how do we look at, an over-reliance on technology when maybe you do need humans. Humans are very good at a lot of things, and just because artificial intelligence might be able to do it cheaper or faster doesn't mean they can do it more accurately. So I think it's a really cool book, really interesting premise, lots of fun characters, a really great middle fiction title, and I do love this cover. Like, this cover is fabulous. As I said before, I had 2 rereads. I've read books 6 and 7 in the Murderbot Diaries series. That's part of a vlog, so it's also part of project books. Also for the project books, I read Seal the Deal by Lucky Hart, so that video will be coming out soon. My DNF is A Smart Girl's Guide to Second Chances, and essentially I DNF'd this on page 3 because of a Harry Potter reference. If you want to see my immediate reaction and basically what is the definition of a trigger in a book, watch the Buzzword Rating vlog, because I have a visceral reaction now to those references, especially in books that are published in 2025. And I hate doing that because this is an Australian author writing a romance book, but I'm over it. I don't care about the Harry Potter references. If you put it in there, it's an automatic DNF after the last couple of years. And then I have 2 more books that I read this week. So there is Break the Rule by Lucky Hart, which is the Kings of Heart book series number 3. And this is an contemporary story. We follow the King brothers, and in this case, we're following Charlie King. He is one of a set of twins. Seal the Deal, which I'll talk about in the Buzzword vlog, is about his twin brother. So Charlie is an artist. He also has undiagnosed ADHD, and it is something that causes a lot of havoc in his life. He has undiagnosed and unmedicated ADHD, and you can tell on page, like it's very real. He ends up having a showcase of his artwork, and he very begrudgingly has to get dressed up to go to one of the showings. He would prefer to be in one of his many numerous coloured pairs of Crocs, his paint-stained clothes. However, he is bullied into wearing actual professional clothing. And one of the servers at the event is Eden, who is gender non-conforming. Eden comes from a very traumatic background. He has been through the foster system. He has experienced lots of abuse. He was also a sex worker and has some trauma from that. And I think he's only 21 or 22 at the start of the book. He was basically found by Addie, who has become one of his closest friends. And Addie at the time was pregnant, and she took him in. So they live together. They're not romantic in any way. They're basically siblings. And he has helped her raise her daughter, Ella, which is adorable. Like, all of their scenes are fabulous because I love Lucky Hart's found family element that she incorporates in all her books. So anyway, Charlie is immediately intrigued by Eden and pursues him, and he's trying to convince him to either have a one-night stand or whatever. But Eden is very clear on his boundaries and is also very dominant. So this is not only, it's an age gap story, there's also a size difference in here. There is a lot of trauma that has to be worked through. And for Charlie, especially in this book, because he finds himself in an age gap relationship after he had an issue with his younger brother entering into an age gap relationship with one of his other brother's best friends. He really has to re-examine he's thinking and think about, you know, why he reacted negatively to that relationship, whereas he's totally okay with his own. Really fascinating series. I really loved it. Spoiler alert, I loved Seal the Deal as well, but I'll talk about that more in another video. And then the last book that I have to talk about is a review copy that I received from Pan Macmillan. It is We Burn So Bright by TJ Klune. This is TJ Klune's newest book. It is novella length, and it has a romance, but it is very much a science fiction, end of the world kind of story. So in this world, a black hole is moving its way through our solar system, and the world is going to end. It is going to be cracked apart by this black hole. We are following a married couple, Don and Rodney. They know the end is very near, it's weeks away, and they make up the decision to pack up their life, jump into their RV and head out to this place on the other side of the country for a reason unknown to us. We know that something has happened to someone very close to them. And then eventually we find out that it is their son, who they fostered and adopted, and who passed away. And there is a huge, huge trauma sequence where we find out exactly what happened with that. And I'll give some more content warnings in a minute. But essentially this is a road trip as this married couple travels on their way to try and get to this place before the world ends in order to do something for their dead son. And along the way they meet a number of people, and it is how everyone has sort of dealt with their understanding of the world ending. They meet a married couple with 2 young kids who really haven't acknowledged that the world is ending to each other or to their kids. Their kids don't know that that's happening. And we also find out that the father has a backup plan so that they don't have to suffer. They made a hippie group that are out camping and are just trying to live their last moments to the best that they can. A young couple who want to get married. Someone who has experienced extreme trauma and committed atrocious acts in the name of what she believes is compassion. And it's about them dealing with their grief of losing their son and the things that they blame themselves for. So they had adopted a boy who had been through the foster care system who had a number of issues. And their son was dealing with schizoaffective disorder. And as their son had grown up, they'd managed to build a connection to him, but as he grew older, he didn't want to take his medication. He stole from them, he hurt them, he disappeared on them for any number of times. And then he died. It is them processing their grief over that while also trying to honor the positive and the good times that they had with their son. And it was deeply moving in terms of the relationship dynamics and the care that they had for each other. So a very interesting take on a road trip story because it doesn't end positively, the world ends. And this is the moon cracking, which is the kind of final part, the part that they know that, well, this is it, this is the end when this happens. And yeah, very different book from everything else that I've read. Definitely not a romance, so please don't go into it thinking that. But there is a romance in terms of the married relationship. And that is everything that I read in the last week. This week I'm hoping to read Platform Decay by Martha Wells because I would like to get my vlog up for that on release day or just before release day. And I also would like to try and do a reread of This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me, but I don't think I'm going to have as much read over the next week because I'll need at least 2 days to read This Kingdom Will Not Kill Me, so that I can properly remember it. And yeah, that's where we are. So thank you for sticking with me in my very unprepared wrap up. In the comments, I'd love to know, have you read any of these books or are you planning on picking any of them up? Feel free to chat about them down below with me, or feel free to share something you've read and loved recently. If you just want to let me know that you're here but you don't want to leave a comment, feel free to leave a moon emoji. Otherwise, I hope that wherever you are in the world, you're staying safe and healthy. And I'll see you in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Bye everyone.